What begins as a viral dare can end in irreversible tragedy. Across the world, extreme online challenges have pushed people past the limits of safety, sometimes with fatal consequences. Here are 5 of the worst extreme challenge deaths ever, where a quest for thrills turned deadly in seconds. In 2022, TikTok found itself at the center of a devastating legal battle after the parents of 4 British teenagers claimed their children had died while attempting a viral trend known as the blackout challenge. The cases of Isaac Kennevan, Archie Battersby, Julian Jules Sweeney, and Maya Walsh became some of the most haunting examples of how extreme online challenges could spiral into tragedy. The so-called blackout challenge encouraged participants to deliberately deprive themselves of oxygen until they lost consciousness. What was presented online as a daring test of endurance quickly turned into a lethal gamble. According to the families, their children encountered the challenge while scrolling through content on the platform in 2022. They believed the algorithm relentlessly pushed increasingly risky material, drawing young users deeper into dangerous territory. A wrongful death lawsuit was filed in the United States by the Social Media Victims Law Center on behalf of the grieving parents. The complaint alleged that TikTok and its parent company, ByteDance, had engineered the app to maximize engagement at any cost. It argued that the platform's design fostered dependency and exposed vulnerable teenagers to a stream of harmful content they had never actively searched for. Each of the 4 deaths sent shockwaves through their communities. Archie Battersby, just 12 years old, was found unconscious at his home in Southend-on-Sea in April 2022. His mother believed he had been attempting the blackout challenge, although a coroner later stated there was no conclusive evidence he had been participating in an online trend at that exact moment. The suspicion that social media played a role never faded. His case became one of the most widely publicized examples tied to dangerous viral challenges. Isaac Kennevan, 13, was described by his mother as an intelligent and curious boy who loved understanding how things worked. That curiosity, she believed, may have led him to attempt the challenge. In trying to replicate what he had seen online, he lost his life. For his family, the idea that a few seconds of imitation could cost everything was almost impossible to comprehend. Julian Jules Sweeney, 14, also died under circumstances his family associated with the blackout trend. His mother later campaigned for greater transparency from social media companies, seeking access to her son's account data in hopes of understanding exactly what he had seen before his death. She pushed for legislative changes that would allow bereaved parents to access their children's social media accounts, arguing that crucial answers were locked behind corporate policies. Maya Walsh's death added another layer of heartbreak. Her father publicly expressed that unanswered questions lingered in the air. For him, the silence surrounding the content Maya may have consumed online was as painful as the loss itself. The family believed that clearer insight into her digital activity might have provided some measure of closure. By the time the lawsuit was filed in Delaware, searches for videos or hashtags linked to the blackout challenge had long been blocked on TikTok. The company stated that it prohibited dangerous challenges and redirected users searching for related terms to its safety center. It had previously announced efforts to strengthen detection and enforcement around harmful trends. Yet, critics argued that blocking hashtags did not erase the broader issue. Advocacy groups claimed that tech platforms often reacted only after tragedies occurred. They maintained that algorithm-driven feeds could amplify extreme content rapidly, especially when shock value and risk generated higher engagement. The British cases were not isolated. In the United States, similar allegations had surfaced when a mother sued TikTok after her 10-year-old daughter, Nyla Anderson, died in what was believed to be a blackout challenge attempt. An appeals court later revived her lawsuit, signaling that legal scrutiny of social media algorithms was intensifying. What made these deaths particularly chilling was the simplicity of the act itself. No elaborate equipment, no remote location, just a child alone attempting to push their body to its limit for a trend that promised fleeting online recognition. The extreme nature of the challenge lay not in spectacle, but in its quiet, deadly risk. In September 2023, the death of a Massachusetts teenager turned a viral food dare into one of the most disturbing extreme challenge tragedies in recent memory. Harris Woloba, a 10th grade student from Worcester, died after taking part in the widely promoted One Chip Challenge, a social media trend built around consuming an intensely spicy tortilla chip infused with concentrated chili pepper extract. In the wake of his death, Harris's family filed a wrongful death lawsuit in Suffolk Superior Court against Hershey, its subsidiary Paqui, Walgreens, and other parties connected to the product's manufacture and sale. The legal action alleged that a combination of aggressive marketing, retail availability, and the nature of the product itself created dangerous conditions that ultimately led to the teen's death. The One Chip Challenge revolved around a single tortilla chip sold individually for around $10. Packaged in a coffin-shaped box and wrapped in foil, the chip was marketed as an endurance test of extreme heat. Participants were encouraged to eat it and then see how long they could last without drinking water or eating anything else. The challenge quickly gained traction online, where videos showed people unwrapping the chip, consuming it, and reacting dramatically to the intense burning sensation. Many clips captured participants gagging, coughing, crying, or pleading for relief as the spice overwhelmed them. According to the autopsy conducted by the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner, Harris died of cardiopulmonary arrest after ingesting a large quantity of capsaicin, the chemical compound responsible for the heat in chili peppers. The report stated that his death occurred in the context of consuming food with a high concentration of capsaicin. It also revealed that Harris had cardiomegaly, meaning an enlarged heart, along with a congenital condition known as myocardial bridging of the left anterior descending coronary artery. Despite these underlying conditions, the family's attorney argued that the chip itself was the decisive factor. The lawsuit claimed that the product was unreasonably dangerous and that its marketing strategy deliberately targeted young consumers by capitalizing on viral social media trends. It further alleged that retailers, including Walgreens, sold the chip to minors despite its extreme potency. The manufacturer, Paqui, a Texas-based subsidiary of Hershey, expressed sorrow over Harris's death, but emphasized that the product carried clear warnings. The packaging stated that the chip was intended for adults only and cautioned against consumption by children, individuals sensitive to spicy foods, or those with underlying health conditions. However, reports suggested that these warnings did little to prevent teenagers from purchasing and attempting the challenge. Following growing concerns and media coverage, Paqui announced in September 2023 that it had worked with retailers to voluntarily remove the product from store shelves. The company also discontinued the One Chip Challenge. By then, however, numerous incidents had already been reported across the country. In California, several high school students were hospitalized after attempting the challenge. In Minnesota, paramedics treated multiple students who fell ill after participating. Poison control centers had issued warnings that consuming such concentrated levels of capsaicin could trigger severe reactions, including breathing difficulties, irregular heart rhythms, allergic responses, and, in extreme cases, heart attacks or strokes. Harris's death prompted renewed warnings from Massachusetts authorities and medical professionals about the potential dangers of extreme food challenges. What began as a viral stunt centered on heat and endurance ultimately became a fatal test of limits. Angel Montoya, a 30-year-old Colombian content creator, died after attempting a high-risk stunt that was filmed for social media. On January 27th, he jumped from a vehicular bridge over the Cauca River, an act captured on video and rapidly shared online. 3 days later, on January 30th, his body was recovered several miles downstream, marking another fatal chapter in the growing list of extreme challenge deaths driven by viral fame. In the footage that circulated widely, Montoya stood on the bridge preparing for the leap. Before jumping, he addressed the camera with a brief farewell in Spanish, signaling the start of what was meant to be a dramatic stunt. Moments later, he hurled himself into the river below. The jump itself drew immediate attention online, but what followed turned the spectacle into tragedy. After hitting the water, Montoya attempted to swim. The Cauca River, however, was not calm. Seasonal rains had swollen its currents, making conditions especially dangerous. Within seconds, the force of the water began pulling him away. The video showed him struggling against the current, fighting to stay afloat as the river overpowered him. He was soon swept out of sight. Montoya was a resident of Tuluá, a city in western Colombia, and local authorities were alerted quickly after the incident. Rescue teams, including members of the Bugala Grande Volunteer Fire Department and firefighters from neighboring municipalities, launched a search operation along the river. However, their efforts were complicated by high water levels and fast-moving currents caused by ongoing heavy rains across the region. The Cauca River, one of Colombia's major waterways, can become especially treacherous during the rainy season. At the time of Montoya's jump, nearly 24 municipalities in the Valle del Cauca region were dealing with flash floods and torrential downpours. The river's swollen state significantly reduced the chances of survival for anyone caught in its flow without safety equipment or support. For 3 days, search crews combed the riverbanks and surrounding areas, battling difficult terrain and unpredictable water conditions. Hope for a rescue gradually faded as time passed. Eventually, workers located a body floating several miles downstream from the original jump site. Authorities were notified, and officials later confirmed that it was Angel Montoya. Regional risk management authorities publicly acknowledged his death and used the incident to issue urgent warnings about the dangers of taking such risks, particularly during severe weather conditions. Officials stressed that swollen rivers and flood conditions dramatically increase the likelihood of fatal outcomes, even for strong swimmers. Montoya's death quickly drew attention not only because of the viral video, but also because it reflected a broader pattern seen worldwide. In recent years, content creators and influencers have increasingly pushed boundaries in pursuit of views, shares, and online recognition. Dangerous stunts performed without safety precautions have led to fatal falls, drownings, and other preventable deaths. What made Montoya's case especially haunting was the stark contrast between the confidence displayed before the jump and the desperate struggle that followed. The short farewell to the camera underscored the performative nature of the act, while the powerful river demonstrated how quickly control could be lost. His death served as a sobering reminder of how unpredictable natural forces can be. A bridge jump that might have seemed daring but manageable under calm conditions became deadly in a rain-swollen river. In the realm of extreme challenge fatalities, Montoya's final stunt illustrated how the pursuit of viral attention can collide with environmental realities in irreversible ways. Ultimately, the Cauca River claimed his life within moments, turning a filmed stunt into a fatal miscalculation. An 11-year-old boy was left fighting for his health after being pressured into taking part in a dangerous stunt inspired by viral internet videos known as the roundabout of death. What began as an afternoon at a local park in Tuxford, Nottinghamshire, turned into a medical emergency that doctors described as highly unusual and deeply concerning. Tyler Broom had been at Ashvale Park with a friend when a group of older teenagers approached them. According to his mother, one of the teens, believed to be around 17 years old, had a motorcycle. The group decided to recreate a stunt popularized online, placing someone in the center of a playground roundabout and using the rear wheel of a motorbike to spin it at extreme speed. Tyler, who did not know the older teen and was not friends with him, was told to sit in the middle of the roundabout. The motorcycle was positioned so that its rear wheel made contact with the playground equipment. When the engine revved, the force transferred directly to the roundabout, causing it to spin far faster than it ever could under normal use. The speeds generated by a motorbike wheel are capable of producing intense G-forces, levels typically experienced only by fighter pilots or astronauts during training, and even then under controlled monitored conditions. In Tyler's case, there were no safeguards, no supervision, and no understanding of the physical toll such force could take on a child's body. As the roundabout spun violently, Tyler quickly became overwhelmed. Video footage later showed him losing consciousness while the equipment was still rotating at high speed. At first, the teenagers appeared unaware that he had blacked out and continued revving the engine. Only, as the roundabout slowed, did it become clear that something was terribly wrong. Tyler lay motionless. Instead of staying to help, the group reportedly fled the scene. A bystander who entered the park discovered Tyler unconscious on the ground and immediately called for an ambulance. He was rushed to Queen's Medical Center in Nottingham with severe head injuries. Doctors were confronted with symptoms they had rarely, if ever, encountered in such a context. The extreme rotational force had likely driven blood and fluid upward into Tyler's skull, causing massive swelling. His head became severely enlarged, blood vessels burst under the pressure, and his eyes protruded dramatically due to internal trauma. His vision was left blurred, and there were fears he could suffer a stroke if the swelling did not subside. Medical staff reportedly had to research the unusual presentation of his injuries before determining how best to treat him. The damage extended beyond visible bruising. The internal effects of the high G-force were far more alarming. While broken bones follow predictable healing timelines, doctors could not immediately determine how long it would take for the internal swelling and neurological risks to resolve. There were also fears of possible brain damage. Tyler had no clear memory of the event itself. The trauma, combined with the loss of consciousness, left gaps in his recollection. For his family, the psychological shock was as devastating as the physical injuries. What they saw in the hospital bed barely resembled the boy who had left home for the park earlier that day. The stunt that nearly cost Tyler his life had gained millions of views online, drawing young audiences with its reckless intensity. The ease with which such challenges spread through social media platforms has raised ongoing concerns about their influence on children and teenagers, particularly when dangerous acts are portrayed as thrilling entertainment. Police launched an investigation into the incident, confirming that a moped had been used to spin the roundabout and that Tyler remained in serious but stable condition in hospital. Authorities appealed for witnesses and any available video footage as they worked to piece together exactly what happened. A viral social media stunt known as the Benadryl Challenge turned deadly when 13-year-old Jacob Howard Stevens of Greenfield, Ohio, lost his life after attempting it. The trend encouraged teenagers to consume dangerously high amounts of the over-the-counter allergy medication in order to experience hallucinations. What was framed online as a risky thrill ended in irreversible tragedy. Jacob reportedly swallowed between 12 and 14 benadryl pills, far beyond the recommended dosage. The drug's active ingredient, diphenhydramine, can severely affect the heart and nervous system when taken in excess. Shortly after ingesting the pills, Jacob suffered intense seizures. The overdose overwhelmed his body rapidly, triggering a catastrophic medical emergency. He was rushed to the hospital, but the damage was already severe. According to his father, doctors determined that Jacob had no meaningful brain activity. The oxygen deprivation and neurological trauma caused by the overdose left no chance of recovery. Machines could have kept his body functioning artificially, but physicians explained that he would never regain consciousness or basic abilities such as breathing independently, speaking, or moving. His family was forced to face the unthinkable reality that the challenge had cost him his life. The Benadryl Challenge had circulated on social media platforms since at least 2020. Participants were encouraged to take excessive amounts of the medication to induce hallucinations and record their experiences. The appeal lay in shock value and online attention, with videos spreading quickly among young users. However, medical professionals consistently warned that high doses of diphenhydramine can lead to serious complications, including irregular heart rhythms, seizures, coma, and death. Jacob's death was not the first linked to the trend. In 2020, a 15-year-old girl in Oklahoma died after consuming a lethal amount of the drug after viewing related videos. That same year, Cook Children's Hospital in Fort Worth, Texas reported admitting 3 teenagers who had attempted the challenge after watching similar content online. These incidents prompted growing alarm among health officials. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration issued a public warning in 2020, cautioning that taking more than the recommended dose of benadryl could result in life-threatening heart problems and neurological damage. The agency reached out to social media companies, urging them to remove videos promoting the challenge and to take stronger measures to prevent its spread. TikTok, where much of the content had appeared, stated that it prohibited dangerous behavior and removed content that violated community guidelines. The company expressed sympathy for affected families and said it had blocked searches related to the challenge in an effort to discourage imitation. It also emphasized the role of its safety teams in monitoring harmful material. Despite these measures, concerns persisted about how quickly such trends could emerge and circulate before being contained. The Benadryl challenge was part of a broader pattern of hazardous online dares that targeted young audiences. Other viral stunts included the cinnamon challenge, which involved swallowing dry cinnamon without water and risked choking or lung damage. The nutmeg challenge, which encouraged consuming large amounts of spice to achieve a supposed high but could trigger severe physical reactions. And the so-called blackout or pass-out challenges, which involved cutting off oxygen to induce unconsciousness. Each of these trends shared a common thread. They transformed ordinary household items into tools of risk, all in pursuit of online recognition. The accessibility of over-the-counter medication made the Benadryl challenge particularly dangerous. Unlike illicit substances, allergy pills were easy to obtain, often sitting in medicine cabinets without safeguards. Health authorities urged parents to store medications, both prescription and over-the-counter, securely and out of children's reach. Locking up drugs and discussing the real-life consequences of viral challenges were recommended as preventative steps. Officials also advised immediate emergency action if a child showed signs of overdose, including hallucinations, seizures, breathing difficulties, or unconsciousness.